All right, today we're diving into a condition that feels like your body's engine is just permanently stuck in the red. We're talking about thyrotoxicosis. Let's break it down. You know that feeling, right? Your heart is pounding, you're buzzing with this weird, uncontrollable energy, and you just cannot find the off switch. Well, imagine that feeling being your reality, day in and day out. That sensation, it has a name. It's called thyrotoxicosis. So, what exactly is this condition? Let's start right at the beginning. What is happening inside the body? And maybe more importantly, what does it actually feel like to experience it? Now, here's the key thing to get about this definition. It's not just about having high levels of thyroid hormone floating around in your blood. Thyrotoxicosis is the state that happens because of it. It's what happens when your body's tissues are being hit with way too much of this hormone, forcing them into overdrive. That's the real distinction. So what does that feel like? Well, it's a whole body experience. You could be losing weight even though you feel like you're eating all the time. You might feel boiling hot when everyone else is comfortable. And that racing heart, we're not talking about after a run. It can happen when you're just sitting on the couch. And you know, it goes way beyond the physical stuff. The impact on your mind can be huge. We're talking about a constant humming anxiety or irritability that just doesn't seem to have a reason. It's literally your own body chemistry putting your brain on high alert 24/7. Sometimes the signs are right there for everyone to see. A fine tremor in your hands is a classic one. There's also this thing called lid lag, where the eyelid kind of trails behind when the eye looks down. And in more specific cases, like with Graves' disease, you might even see what's called exophthalmos, which is the medical term for bulging eyes. Okay, so this all leads to the big question. Why? What causes the thyroid gland to just go rogue and start overproducing these hormones in the first place? Let's get into the causes. The main culprit, responsible for over half of all cases, is something called Graves' disease. Now, this is an autoimmune condition, which basically means the body's own immune system gets confused and starts attacking the thyroid, which in turn pushes it to work way, way too hard. But Graves isn't the only player in the game. It can also be triggered by things like overactive nodules on the thyroid or different types of thyroiditis, which is really just a fancy word for inflammation of the gland. And that inflammation can pop up after pregnancy, as a side effect of some heart medications, or even from a sudden big dose of iodine, like the kind you get from contrast dye in a CT scan. And get this, here's a really fascinating twist. There's a condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and it's famous for causing an underactive thyroid. But in its early stages, as the gland is being damaged, it can actually leak out all its stored hormones. So you get this temporary phase of being overactive, a state of thyrotoxicosis, before the gland eventually burns out and slows right down. Wild, right? So with all these different symptoms and all these potential causes, how doctors actually connect the dots and figure out what's really going on? Let's walk through that diagnostic journey. Thankfully, the process is pretty logical. It all starts with you and the symptoms you're experiencing. A doctor will hear that and order a simple blood test. Once those results come back and confirm, yep, the thyroid is in overdrive, then the real detective work begins to figure out exactly why. And the blood test tells a really interesting story. So think of your brain's pituitary gland as the boss, and it sends out a hormone called TSH to the thyroid factory to tell it what to do. When the thyroid factory starts going crazy and making too much product, the boss, the pituitary gland, tries to stop it. It stops sending the TSH signal. That's why your TSH level is suppressed or low. But the problem is, the factory isn't listening anymore. It's just ignoring the boss and continuing to pump out high levels of hormones no matter what. So to really nail down that why, doctors have a few more tools. They can run blood tests to look for the specific antibodies that point directly to Graves' disease. An ultrasound can give them a picture of the thyroid structure, and special isotope scans can actually light up and show exactly which parts of the gland are going haywire. Okay, so the diagnosis is in. The last and most important piece of the puzzle is management. How do you bring the whole system back into balance? Well, there's a whole toolkit of options. Beta blockers are often used right away, kind of like first aid, to help calm down those immediate symptoms like the racing heart and tremors. Then you have antithyroid drugs that work to directly slow down the hormone factory itself. For more permanent solutions, there's radioiodine therapy, which zaps the overactive cells, or even surgery to remove the parts of the thyroid that are causing the problem. So you've got all these options, from taking a pill every day to a permanent surgery. How is the right path chosen? Well, the answer is there is no single right path. The best treatment really depends on the specific cause, how bad the symptoms are, and of course, what's right for the individual patient. It's a powerful reminder that good medicine is all about treating the person, not just the condition.